previous video, I talked about the necessity of the mentor-apprentice relationship. How do we best utilize that? Well, let me give you some examples. When I was at Berklee College of Music, one of the great things that we had there was access to many workshops with true musical masters. The guitarist's name was Tommy Emmanuel. He was demonstrating this one passage that he learned that I've never seen anybody do. Everybody in the audience, their jaws were on the floor. And he said this one thing that I think is absolutely great. He said,
we're trying to teach our body something it's never done before. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't want to do it. And you've got to persist with it until it does do what you want it to do.
When we're trying to take somebody else's experiences, lessons, stories, and philosophies and make them our own, 9 times out of 10, our body doesn't want to absorb it. We must persist until we get it to do what we want it to do. Another great thing about Tommy Emmanuel is he did another workshop somewhere in Europe, and he described in clear detail his process of standing on the shoulder of giants. He played his own rendition of a song called Mona Lisa by Nat King Cole. Here's the clip. Now, isn't that amazing? So what Tommy does after playing this is he describes his whole process, how he changed what he changed and made his own rendition. Here's that clip.
That's the opening phrase. Did anybody notice what I did? I didn't play like Manuel at the Mexican restaurant, who would play. That's Manuel at the Mexican restaurant, walking around the tables. You don't want to play like Manuel. There's nothing wrong with Manuel, but I don't want to play like him. You know, I don't want to walk around tables in a Mexican restaurant. I want to touch more people with my playing. So how do I do that? I learned this beautiful thing from Chet Atkins by listening to him very carefully. Now, sometimes when people sing together, they're not exactly right the same. Sometimes they're a tiny bit, one is a fraction behind the other. This creates a beautiful sound. So when I played the melody, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, I played the harmony a little bit late, a little bit behind. So I played upstrokes instead of down. So you watch. Instead of, there's Manuel at the Mexican restaurant again. So you don't want that, you want... You see that? That's the opening phrase. I played upstrokes and I made the harmony a tiny bit late. And you can do that anywhere. You see that? It's a beautiful sound. Nato Lima from Los Indios Trabajaras, who probably nobody in this room has ever heard of, was the guy who really started that. Yeah, that's right. And it was Chet Atkins who heard him and stole as much as he possibly could from Nato, the same as I did. When I met Nato, I was like a thief in the night because he had so much great. Now I do something here that again I stole from Chet Atkins, and that is the melody goes up and the harmony goes down. You see that? Singers do that as well. You hear that in West Side Story and The Sound of Music and things like that, where harmonies go that way and melody goes that way. It's a beautiful sound. Is a typical Chet Atkins thing where he goes, and I stole that from him back in the 60s on one of his recordings, and I put it in here because it fits so beautifully, you see? And he would say, that's petty theft. So,
notice how many giants he stood on the shoulders of. It's absolutely amazing. What we need to do, as I've said before, is stuff our conscious with quality details from these masters. Here's an analogy for us. We want to make a huge pot of gumbo. Eric Gales, blues guitarist, described it like this.
Listen to, you know, all of these earlier cats way before me, plus me listening at the music of my era at that time, was all being put into a big pot of gumbo. Huge pot of gumbo that I'll take a scoop of and ain't no telling what might come up. You know what I mean? That's the best way that I know to describe how I'm thinking when I go into something. It could be just some John McLaughlin or some it don't matter, some Alan Hallsworth or it just you know, it doesn't matter. So I mean, I can't tell you where I'm picking from. It's just how I'm feeling and wherever the boat is landing is.
That is exactly how we need to think about standing on the shoulder of giants. To attaining true mastery, we need to have a huge pot. We need to fill it with a quality base, which is called the roux. We have to understand our own identity before we start internalizing and emulating other people. And I'll tell you what, a gumbo is not good if it has 1 or 2 ingredients. The same thing is true when we're internalizing our heroes. We need to have a multitude of quality people to draw from. And we need to get their better habits, their positive habits. And then we need to stir it all together, add our own unique spice, and then when we take a scoop of it, ain't no telling what's gonna come up. But I'll tell you one thing, it's gonna taste great. It'll be uniquely you. The next video, I'll talk about one thing that we need to first be aware of and watch out for. Noise.